One candidate who was not interviewed on Over the Rainbow this morning is George Graham. George Graham is running independently in the upcoming council elections. He was born in Bangalore and moved to Byron Bay 50 years ago. Mr Graham attended Mullumbimby High School, and although he left the area for a few years for study and work reasons, he's been back living in Byron Bay since 1991. I spoke to Mr Graham to find out why he decided to run as an independent rather than part of a group ticket.
I think people are disappointed with some of the actions of some of the groups that have existed on council. It's a bit like our disappointment nationally with parties. A lot of people are showing that they'd much prefer to have an independent voice, and that's what I plan to be, an independent voice, where I plan to put community first, transparency first. I've got no vested interests, no party affiliations, and I would have no trouble voting for a lot of the people that are currently standing for council. But I just disagree with the concept of blocking and locking people into group voting and then complaining when they step outside it. I mean, I think that's inevitable. If you throw four people into bed together, one of them's going to get a little itch sooner or later, aren't they?
Is there a particular issue that you'd like to speak about?
I think the biggest issue that we need to be considering is our current population and the tourist pressure that we're under. That's what needs foresight and management. When I first came to Byron Bay, it was in 1966, 50 years ago, the population of this shire was about 10,000, and now it's more like 35,000. So we're trying to take more than 3 times as many locals and millions of visitors and pour them into the same infrastructure, parts of which are still 50 years old, and that's our biggest problem. It just doesn't work. And I think the community really suffers as a result of this. So in council, we need to make decisions based on community needs and not so much on the needs of those who are trying to make the big dollar out of Byron Bay. So that tourist pressure and population pressure, there's hundreds of thousands of people who want to come here for one reason or another. And it's not that we can stop them. We just need to control what we are doing as a council.
Should you get elected to council, what would be one of the first things that you'd want to focus on?
Well, I think we should recall the Coastal Zone Management Plan and have another look at it. I don't have a great detail of knowledge about it yet, but I've read parts of it, and there's a huge amount to read. Nevertheless, I think it needs to be brought back. I think we need to look at the effect of holiday letting on this town. You know, it's pretty much the gate was left open many years ago, the horses bolted. But nevertheless, there's a lot of people suffering as a result of poor management of holiday lets in this town. That needs to be addressed in more detail. I think the council's starting to do something about it, but more needs to be done. We need to really put the pressure on there.
Do you think we should have a bed tax?
Oh, it'd be fantastic. I mean, I've travelled in Europe where you pay a bed tax all the time. But I don't think that's something council can legislate. I think it has to be a state legislation. Yet we still have to put the pressure on. A bed tax would be fantastic. I mean, it would add to our infrastructure requirements. You know, we could have more money to spend as a result of that. I don't think we're ever going to turn back the number of holiday lets we've got in town. I think there's too much wealth investment there. It'd be the same story as Belongil. You've got so many people with so much money invested. You'd hardly turn the tide back. But I think we could stem the tide now, maybe make some radical changes to the management side.
There's been a lot of talk about the rail trail with Simon Richardson's team saying that they think it should be reopened for the trains or light rail, and Paul Spooner's saying that, no, it's not feasible. Where do you stand on that?
Look, anything that preserves the rail corridor is a good thing. Some people might say getting trains back on the tracks is pie in the sky, and at the moment, financially, that may be the case, but if we don't keep that corridor open, then it's lost forever. It belongs to the people now. I mean, I think it'd be fantastic if long after I'm gone, maybe 50 years' time, we might have an extension of the electric rail system from Coolangatta right down through our region. And that's why we need to keep the corridor open.
So is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything else you're particularly interested in that you'd just like to let potential voters know about?
I think once you become a councillor, you really have to sit there and think carefully about all the issues that you're presented with. And inevitably, someone is not going to agree with your position, but if you stand on the facts and then make a decision according to what you think the best interests of the people are, then, you're doing the best you can.
That was George Graham, running as an independent in the Byron Shire Council elections.